Hello, and welcome to tECHO Talks, sponsored by tECHO Technology Solutions. My name is Mark Andres. I'm the Client Services Manager here at tECHO Technology Solutions. I'm going to talk to you today about managing your passwords and staying safe on the internet. So how do you keep track of your passwords? Hopefully you don't have sticky notes stuck to your monitor or your laptop. Maybe you put them in a notebook, maybe you put them on a spreadsheet. I've seen people have spreadsheets called My Passwords on the desktop of their computer. Hopefully you don't do any of these things, but even if you do, that's okay. It will be our little secret, and we're going to learn better habits today. In addition to where you keep track of your passwords, another concern is how safe is your password? Hopefully you're not like our friend Steve Carell here and you're using a very simple word that's easy to guess. You want to make it something that's difficult to figure out. And finally, we hopefully all use a different password for every site, correct? Every site on the surface should have a different password so that if one of your passwords is compromised, you will not have all your other sites be also compromised. For example, if someone figures out your Facebook password, you don't want them to also be able to get into your bank information or other services that you use. So today's agenda for this webinar is going to be, first of all, what makes a safe password. We're going to talk about how to pick one that's safe and that's difficult to crack or difficult to guess. We're going to select a safe base password that you can remember. We're then going to create easy to remember passwords that are unique to each site or service based on that base password. Next, we're going to talk about tools that you can use to manage your personal passwords. We're not going to have sticky notes on the computer. No, we're going to give you some tools that you can use to manage your passwords in a safe way. And finally, we're going to talk about how you can take those tools that you learned about for managing your passwords and you can actually extend those to your organization. Because maybe in your company or organization, you have shared passwords that you also want to keep safe. So first of all, we're going to talk about what makes a safe password. The important thing here is that it needs to be complex. The more complex it is, the better. So you want to mix numbers, special characters, as well as uppercase and lowercase. Also, longer is better. As computers get faster and processing power gets better, passwords need to be longer because computers can actually, through brute force or dictionary lookups, crack your passwords faster and faster. So you want to make sure that you have it at least a long one. A couple years ago, 8 characters was considered safe. Nowadays, we're looking at like 10 or 12 characters to really be safe. You want to have a unique password for each site. You want to make sure that your passwords are kept in a secure location because no matter how safe your password is, if it's on a sticky note stuck to your monitor, someone else can just easily log in as you. So here's I've listed an example here. As you can see on the chart on the right, passwords can pretty much be cracked very quickly if they're not long and complex. So Bobcat, I've changed the O to a 0 here, and I've changed the A to an @ symbol. A few years ago we would have thought this was a pretty safe and difficult one to crack, but actually now with computing power you can actually crack this in about 13 minutes. So you want to make sure that not only is it complex, but ideally longer than 10 characters. So how are we going to do this? So step 1, we want to pick a safe password base. So we're going to use, again, a combination of numbers, special characters, uppercase and lowercase letters. The best way is to use short words, combining short words, or even a phrase or sentence that is meaningful to you. You can convert some of the letters to numbers or symbols. So here's some examples. So I took the song T for 2 and 2 for T, and I just converted that to numbers and letters and used the ampersand for the and. If let's say I have two people that are close to me is Bob and Mary, I can convert that to Bob and Mary. I can take a number and a name that are unrelated and convert that, or I can even use just a simple phrase like pitter patter. So in the examples that we're going to follow, we're actually going to use this pitter patter, which is the last one, where I have P1T capital R, P at small t capital R, and we're going to use that as my base. So I'm going to pick that as a base. For me, it's something very easy to remember. Once you have your safe base, the next thing you want to do is create compound passwords for each site or service. So once again, we're taking the base password, pitter patter, P1T capital R, P at T capital R, and then we're going to add a prefix for each site. So in each case, I've given you a kind of a short sample and a long sample. It's up to you how you want to do your prefixes. But you'll notice that once our base password is already 8 characters, if we just do a 2-character prefix for each one, that'll give us 10 characters, which is a pretty safe password. So for example, if I have banking information through Wells Fargo, I could do WF and then the pitter patter. If I have Amazon, I could do AM or AMZ, Facebook, FB, Google or Gmail, GM. If I have my company, whatever, you could use the initials from your company, something that's meaningful for your company logins. And then you just add the pitter patter on at the end. So you can see how very easy it is to create something that's easy to remember, yet also complex and very difficult to guess. If you just looked at one of those randomly, you would think that's a difficult one to guess. Finally, some people may ask, what about passwords that have to change periodically? So for example, maybe at your company you have to change your password every 90 days or every 6 months, or even in some places every 30 days. One thing that you can do is you can add on suffixes on at the end. This could be numbers, you could use different symbols. Some places won't let you do this. They won't let you use the same base compound, and you may have to add on to the prefix as well as the suffix. But you can pick out some system that works for you so that to help you remember and keep your same base password. Alright, so now that we have our complex passwords and they're always to remember, we're really set. And if you have a perfect system, honestly, you should never need to write down your passwords. But just to be safe, what we want to do is keep our passwords in a safe location. So what we're going to do now is we are going to use some software to keep track of our passwords. So basically, password management software creates a database of all your site services passwords in a secure location. The database should be encrypted and should require a key to actually get in to access it. There are a lot of different products out there. We're going to look at 2 today. We're going to look at KeePass. KeePass is a locally contained database. It's more secure because you control exactly where it is. It's a file that you decide where you want to put it, where you want to keep it. It's a little less convenient because it doesn't do the auto logins and some other things that other products do. It's ideal for personal use on a single computer, where you can keep it on your computer, but do be sure to keep a backup copy every now and then, because obviously if you lose that, if your hard disk were to crash or you had some problems with that computer, and you would lose the file if it wasn't backed up. So you can back it up. Other similar single-use or single database software packages include 1Password. 1Password is another one that has these same features. Another software that we're going to look at in a minute is called LastPass. LastPass is actually a web-based database. It has many convenient features such as auto login. However, it can be less secure because you are basically at the mercy of LastPass and them keeping your information safe. If someone were to be able to hack into their website and get your base password, then they'd get all your passwords. It is ideal for people who have multiple computers because you can access it from anywhere, any place, and it can be also shared across multiple users, and we'll look at that in a minute. Actually, just a few weeks ago, LastPass was actually hacked, and while most users did not have their databases and their passwords compromised, it did raise a concern, and we would recommend, if you're going to use LastPass or any web-based system, that you use two-factor authentication, and then we're actually going to demonstrate that in just 1 minute. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at KeePass and LastPass. So first we're going to start out here. We are going to take a look at KeePass. And so one of the things is KeePass is actually a Windows only product. So I'm actually running Windows here. This is my Windows computer. KeePass, as you can see, is a program. It runs locally on your computer. It has the new open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a database that I've already created here. It's going to ask me to enter my my password for the database. And this is very important that you have to remember to keep your KeePass database password. If you forget it, you will not be able to log in, and you will lose all your keys. If you forget your password, there's no way to recover these. So it's very important that you remember your password. So in KeePass here, I've created a test KeePass database. As you can see, you can have folders that you can use to help sort out your passwords and keep them organized. So in this case, I have a Windows password, and this is my computer one. I will open it up for you. You can see my computer. It has my username is my email address. It has my password hidden here. If I click on this, it will show my password. As you can see, I use the pitter patter as my base again, and I use my C as the prefix. And I added a 1 on the end because it's going to change periodically. And I added a note here that when I was last set up. I can add the URL here. One of the nice things is if this is an expiring one, I can actually put in here when it's going to expire. So let's say it's going to expire in 90 days. I'm going to set it up here so that I will know, and it'll actually warn me when it's going to expire. I've added my other ones, so I added my Amazon one. You can see here, here's my Amazon one with my AMZ pitter-patter password. Same with Facebook, I have here. So you can see how easy it is to create this. You can add notes in here. You can, if you want, I can show you, if you want, it will actually create random passwords. That's another possibility. So I'm going to add an entry here. And if I want it, I can have it actually create that password. I can just copy and paste in there. A totally random one for if you want extra security. I would recommend doing stuff that you can remember, just in case something would ever happen to your KeePass file. But this is an option to have it create long random strings that are very secure. Okay, so this is KeePass, and now we're going to go over here to LastPass. So LastPass, as you can see, is basically a website. So I'm going to lastpass.com, and I'm going to log in. And I enter my username and password here, and now I'm going to log in. So one thing you're going to notice, it's going to ask me for a code. And this is the two-factor authentication that I was talking about earlier. I don't know if anyone remembers the old RSA keys. It was basically a little key that you kept, and it had random numbers that changed every minute or so. So that's one method of two-factor authentication. If you're using LastPass, you can use Google Authenticator for free. It's very easy to set up. And basically what it does is you have an app on your cell phone, on your smartphone, and it gives you, works just like the RSA key. Every minute it comes up with a random number, and then you type in that number. So I'm going to type in the number that I see on my cell phone here. You can't see, but I can. You can see right there's the number 132852. It doesn't matter if you know this, because what's going to happen is in a moment it's going to change. And then it will give me a new number. The numbers change every 60 seconds, so it's pretty secure. And this way, you know, you may ask, well, what happens if you lose your cell phone? There actually is a method for turning off the two-factor until you get a new one. It involves you request that it's disabled. It sends you an email to verify who you are. Once you've verified who you are, it will disable two-factor authentication, and then when you get your new cell phone, you can actually set it up on your new one. Okay, so here we have the same, pretty much the same sites that I had created here. If I click on one of these, it will actually try and automatically log me in using those credentials. This is a link that will take you to the website. If I want to look at the item, I actually have to click over here on the pencil icon to edit. So you can see this is Facebook. I've put it in my personal folder. I create a username, and you can see I have the password here. For LastPass. Let's look at another one. You can see here, it gave me the Wells Fargo with the pitter patter. Okay, so the LastPass, as you can see, works very similar. Let's go to Amazon and watch. If I click on the link here, it will try to log you in. In this case, I don't actually have a password, a username and password with this one, so it gives me the error. But if I actually did have a real account with that username and password, it would sign me in automatically. And the last one, as you can see, my company works the same way, and there it is. So these are the LastPass. Username, password works the same. Again, this is all kept on the web. You can do auto logon. It has a plugin that plugs into Chrome or Internet Explorer or Firefox to help you manage your passwords. Just like if you use Chrome, you know how Chrome will remember your passwords. This actually, the plugin works the same way. It will automatically pick up if you create a new account. It'll ask you, do you want to add that new site when you create the account on the web. It's very useful, very convenient, but once again, you run the risk of having your information possibly compromised if it's out there on the internet where you don't have control over it. But most people have used LastPass. LastPass is right now is definitely the most popular system out there for managing passwords. And if you want to try it out, it's actually, you can get a free trial. Using it is free, so you can see if you like it. Okay, so now that we've learned how to create our base passwords, we've got our password management software. So if it's good enough for you, shouldn't your company also be doing it too? Maybe you have shared accounts out there that you use to access services. Very common to see companies have spreadsheets with passwords that other people share. I would definitely you should consider using password management software for your company. So basically, password management software it allows multiple users across the enterprise. It allows you to create folders, give people access to specific folders or even specific passwords, and do a lot of more complicated things. There are several products again available, but two of the software packages that we recommend are LastPass and also Secret Server by tECHO. So LastPass, as you saw, while it is free, there's actually an enterprise version which does cost money per user. But with the enterprise version, you can actually create different users, different groups. You can give permissions across different people, so different people can have access to different passwords. You can even set it up so certain people can only log in. You can set up the auto login so that they can log into a website but not actually know the password. They don't have the rights to see the password. They can only auto log in. Another system out there is called Secret Server. It's by tECHO. We actually use this at tECHO Technology to manage our passwords internally. It is much more enterprise level database server and it has more corporate features. One of the nice features about Secret Server is that you can actually have the database yourself. So they do have a cloud version where you can use it in the cloud, but you can also basically install the software on your own SQL database and manage it yourself, so you have complete control over your own passwords. Of course, obviously, then you have to be responsible for backups and taking care of it, but it does give you more control over your actual password database, and that is currently how tECHO works. Today we use a Secret Server with our own database. If you're interested in implementing password management either personally or at your company, please contact tECHO. We can help. We've done this for several companies implementing both LastPass and Secret Server. We have experts that can help you, and we'd be happy to do that. So once again, you've hopefully today learned how to create a base password that is both complex and still easy to remember. You've learned to use the site prefix to add to your base password so that for each website or service or account you can have a different password. You've learned how to use password management software to keep track of passwords just in case. And remember, two-factor authentication whenever you can is always a good idea. And finally, you've learned that you should consider password management software for your company. It's a multi-user management for shared passwords, and tECHO can definitely help you with that if you need help. And finally, whenever possible, always use two-factor authentication as we showed. Two-factor could be anything. There's different types. The Google Authenticator is a very common type, but there are also products where they will call you and ask you to press a number. Well, they'll send you a text and you send text back a code, where they send you an email. Anything that will help to authenticate that you are really the person that you are. We definitely recommend it, using that whenever possible, especially if your bank offers it or financial institutions. We strongly recommend using two-factor authentication. So I want to thank you, and I really appreciate your time that you took to watch this tECHO Talk video. We'll see you next time, and we'll have more tECHO Talks, especially in the area of security, which is now on the mind of everyone. Thank you, and have a great day.